So, Dan, digging out weeds. This big weed is a thug. I was just thinking how that relates to your life or sports psychology. What sort of things do you consider to be weeds that need removing?
Well, a lot of the time you can treat your mind a bit like a garden, because you've got wonderful flowers, which are those wonderful positive thoughts, but then you've got the weeds, which are the more negative talks, the things where you're telling yourself you're not good enough, or the doubts. And I think the important thing is to know is, how often have you gardened and you've never got rid of all the weeds at once? They're always going to be there, and it's learning to live with the flowers and the weeds and learning how to manage them.
I don't think you want to get all the weeds out at once. That's a bit of a too big task.
There'd be too many to do, wouldn't there?
Yeah. Yes, but it's a case of, identifying when they need to come out, really. And this is the moment for this particular thing, which has very long roots.
Exactly.
So do some of your weeds have long roots?
And that's the thing, it's
that
like,
are hard to get out?
Some thoughts will be harder to get rid of. Some will be easy. I dealt with those nerves quite easily that day. But some more deeper rooted stuff, like the things from your childhood, like this deep rooted weed, are going to be harder to get rid of. And to be honest, when I use the phrase get rid of, that's probably not the best thing to do, because you probably never get rid of it. It's learning how to manage the deeper roots and accept them for what they are.
Okay, Dan, when we first moved here, there was a huge, I can see more of it there actually, spiky plant here called a yucca, which I always hated because it's really quite spiky. And there was a tree here, and one day the cat fell out. I thought it would kill itself on the yucca. But look, years later, it's still coming back. What does that tell you?
I think for me that teaches you a lot about resilience.
Right.
And as an athlete you need a lot of mental toughness, a lot of resilience. And this plant was there years ago and you got rid of it, and it's come back that many years later. And we were talking about Ronaldo and Messi before this, and how Ronaldo's 41, Messi's 38, and they're still playing in World Cups. And I think it's so important to understand that persevering and trying to get through in life is so important, because no matter how long it's been, there's still a chance for you to come back and still a chance for you to grow and learn, no matter what stage of your life you're in.
Okay then, Dan, these are mostly new plants here, and we're going to water them. Why do we need to water things, and why particularly when they're new?
I think in terms of watering things, it's almost like, a good way I like to see it is, if you neglect watering, what happens?
Well, they'll shrivel up and die.
Exactly. And if you neglect looking after yourself, if you neglect caring for yourself, if you neglect loving yourself, then you're not going to shrivel up and die, but you might feel like that inside. You might not feel too good about yourself. So I think it's important to cater for ourselves, just like you would cater for a plant.
What about the newness, though? It's very interesting to me that when they haven't got roots, that have really integrated into the soil, that's when it's really important.
It's almost like our childhood memories shape us, and how we're raised really affects how we are when we're older. So those roots are forming when we're a kid, which really affects how we are when we're older, just like a plant. And
do you think as a child that your parents watered you?
Oh, 100%, and I'm very fortunate that my parents, it sounds so weird to say, watered me well.
Yes, I agree.
They raised me right, and they've made me the man I am today. And I think it's important to understand that we can do that for other people as well. We can make an impact on others. We can help others learn how to water themselves, just like a plant.
And do you think you can water your teams when you're coaching?
100%. I think the coach has a massive responsibility in making sure the team is in the right environment, the right mindset, the right shape, the right formation, the right everything. And you can see it when you've got quite a negative coach or someone who the players don't get along with. It really disrupts the team, it disjoints them. Whereas when you've got a coach who can combine all the players together and teach them well and create that environment, then it makes a massive difference on the pitch.
So that's the watering of your players?
Yes.
So Dan, it's interesting, I was just thinking, I grow plants for different reasons, and they give me pleasure for different reasons. And I think that's the same in our life. You see, I grow this because it's a native British plant and I love its little delicate flowers. I grow the lavenders because I love their scent. I grow the orchids over there because they're rare and it's exciting to see them. So how do you think that is relevant to things in life, how we grow things for different pleasures?
Well, I'll go for coffee with one person because we're going to talk about, I don't know, their relationship or their job, whereas I go for coffee with another person because we just like to talk about jokes, or we like to talk about simple things in life. Your friendships have different rewards, and that doesn't mean that we use people for different types of things, but we enjoy other people's company for different reasons. You know, I come here because we enjoy chatting about the garden, we enjoy chatting about life, just like we're doing now. Whereas I don't go to meet someone else to be in their garden and do that sort of thing. So different relationships bring different enjoyments and different challenges too. And I think it's important to realise that you're not going to have the same relationship with everybody, just like you don't have the same relationship with every plant.
I also think, actually, for me, the different things, they nurture me in different ways. So the little harebell, for example, I just delight in how it looks. Whereas this, I feel almost enraptured by the scent.
Exactly.
So different things really nurture me. Different plants certainly nurture me.
Yeah, it's like I have a cold shower every morning, but I wouldn't have it at night, would I? It's like everything has a different purpose for different reasons, for different times, for different periods in your life. You know, I heard a metaphor the other day where some people will get on and off your train, but some people will stay on for the whole journey. And some people come on for different purposes. Maybe they were a boss back in the day. But those people that stay on, those plants which keep their purpose throughout the whole time in your garden, they're the real ones.
Yes. So this is interesting. This plant, which has some little buds and then big orange flowers like that. Well, they're not big, but compared with the buds. And amongst my friends, some people call that fox and cubs. Other people label it hen and chicks. Now, what do you think about that whole business of how we name things, how we label things?
I think how you label something, that changes how you represent it. So I just said before this, with England football teams, they've been labelled as the golden generation. That puts a pressure on them. Whereas now, it doesn't seem to be there as much, the pressure after Gareth Southgate was in. And I think also how we label ourselves. I might label myself as a sports psychologist, but I'm not just a sports psychologist. There's so much more to me. Do you know what I mean? And obviously I'm not a sports psychologist yet, but you might label yourself as a teacher when you're a teacher, but you're not just a teacher. You're also a gardener. You're this, you're that. And there's so much variety that goes into us as people. And how we label ourselves can sometimes trap us into something.
So this one, talking about naming and labelling, its proper name is an Astrantia, but its common name is Granny's Pincushion. And again, talking about naming, because I'm a granny, I really like that it's called Granny's Pincushion, and one flower which is now over is called Granny's Bonnets. So what do you think about names that really make us smile and make us feel better?
Well, that shows the other impact on naming and labelling, you know. I don't know, I spoke about the cold shower earlier. Imagine if I labelled that as the cold shower of doom. Might not want to get into it, but the upbeat cold shower might get me in there. And you know how names, it's almost like how people market things, how people sell things, and I feel like the small things like that make a difference. And I think it teaches that lesson that small things matter. A name of a plant could make your day, and I think it's wonderful to think like how we perceive things and name things, even in a small way, makes a big difference.
Yes, absolutely. Well, because the people that did the rendering ruined this flower bed, I've actually had a lot of fun replanting it. And this whole idea of sometimes you need to plant new things, making sure you've got the right conditions for them. This likes good drainage, so there's lots of stones there. So do you ever have to plant new things, Dan? Or do you ever choose to plant new things?
Well, I think it's important that we always evolve. How you were one time isn't going to be how you are for the rest of your life. And trying new things, exploring new things, testing different ideas, not just being trapped in a box in your life, but exploring different avenues and being, like we spoke about the labelling ourselves, you don't need to label ourselves all the time. We can be someone new every day. And I think it's important to understand that we can try new things, and what was a plant there once can now be a new one. And in terms of the right conditions, I think just like in life, we need the right mindset, we need the right food, the right drink, the right resources to get by. And like an athlete, you need that too to be the best athlete possible. So I think making sure that we try new things, but also making sure that those new things we try have the right conditions makes a big difference.
Absolutely, because that plant likes sun, and this is about the only bit of my garden that's really sunny. And actually, if you plant it in the sun, it will flower all summer.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, and it likes good drainage. So as Dan was saying, some things we need to make sure we've got the conditions right. So you've now planted that, it's in the right place, we hope. So when you're doing your football teaching and developing teams, do you have to do that with people at all? Choose new people, put them in the right place in your team and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, for example, at the start of the season, this season, we were putting the ball in different places on the pitch. We were trying to get it in behind the defence and ping it on long. And then over the season, we adapted to keep it a bit more and play it in shorter passes and build it throughout the pitch. And certain players as well, one player came in as a winger but ended up being a good left back at times. And it's understanding that we do evolve as well in say with my football team, it's not going to look the same all season. There's going to be different players and different points, you know, especially with uni, you've got to get everyone involved. So it's going to look different. And yes, we do have to put people in new places and try different things, because if you look at some of the best managers in the world, like Pep Guardiola, some players come in as a striker and become the best left back in the league. So we do have to try different positions and times.
Good, so let's hope that's happy there. Is it? Oh, I nearly swore.